Hey, Jeff, appreciate you joining me for DevSecOps, the good, the bad, the ugly.
All right, appreciate you having me.
Absolutely. So, Jeff, you lead the security team at HealthStreams. Is that correct?
I do. I lead security, and cloud security is included in that to some extent. We have a pretty good cross-functional team that works with us, though.
That's great. Yeah, everyone's moving to the cloud these days, and cloud security is a important aspect to that. Maybe can you walk us through what do you consider the differences be for organizations looking to go to the cloud compared to on-premise?
Yeah, in the sense that what they should be considering when they make that move.
Absolutely. Yep.
So, one thing I think everybody needs to understand and not forget is it is a shared responsibility when you move to the cloud.
Right.
And depending on what you're consuming, whether it's IaaS, PaaS, or SaaS, that responsibility may shift to the left or the right between you and the provider. But really, people shouldn't overcomplicate the problem, right? While there are some controls that I believe are cloud specific, many of them are not new. You still need visibility. You still need configuration, visibility of those assets. You still have to do vulnerability management, and you got to detect when changes occur.
Right.
So that's important not to kind of chase shiny objects around when you make that move. Another thing is data management. Understanding where your sensitive data is in the organization and how it flows is critical, because if you have a bad data management strategy, you're just going to move that data management strategy to the cloud.
Right. So what you're saying is you need to have it buttoned up before you actually go to the cloud.
As much as possible. Absolutely.
Right. Right. Yeah, no, that's great. So with that, Jeff, what types of security practices do you consider non-negotiables or best practices when, with a cloud infrastructure?
So I think that if you look at how the cloud's being breached, there are a lot of cloud architecture, right? And like I said earlier, we have a cross-functional team that works on that. It's not just security's issue. But if you get the cloud security right, a lot of the breaches are occurring at the application level. So we tend to focus heavily on application security. We're an application shop. So certainly, the top 10 from OWASP, SQL injections, those types of things we want to catch. We've got a heavy focus this year on API security. As we're moving more data and exchanging more information with third parties, that becomes critical how you secure your APIs. Right. And pushing this out farthest to the left as you can. I know that's kind of the big buzzword, but we're really working on doing that is making sure we don't find these things in production, because it's vastly more expensive once you get into production to try to go back and retrofit a problem than to have a developer change his code right there at the IDE.
Yeah, that's great, Jeff. Another thing, when we talked briefly last week, you highlighted asset management, and that's been a big focus for you. Can you kind of walk us through that as well?
Yeah, so asset management is one of those things that if anybody really gets it right, they should bottle it up and sell it.
Right.
It's a challenge across the board. There's a couple avenues of approach, I guess. But what we've done is we came to the conclusion, look, we have multiple versions of asset management, whether it be our monitoring system, whether it be security tools, or whether it be tools that the application developers are using. So one of the first things we did is we just tried to consolidate that data, have everything come in, dedupe the data, because you're going to have duplicates. It is work to do that, and then correlate the information. Once we get everything consolidated, we look at where our security gaps are. And that's really how we use asset management, is to say, hey, here's all of my assets in our corporate locations. Where are my gaps in security coverage from what I believe I have covered to what reality is, right? Right.
So off script here, Jeff, I mean, how do you get everybody on board with asset management, right? Because you're on the security side. I mean, do you just have the authority to be able to do that, or across the various groups?
It has to be collaborative, right? So everything we do, we've taken the approach from a security perspective that security is an internal consulting organization to enable you to do your job securely. So we don't come in with a hammer, because that doesn't work. I don't own asset management. That we have a corporate MIS function and we have a production function, just from a technology perspective. And then we have a cloud operations group, and we have an application development group. And I got with those leaders and said, the assets are really yours. You own them. I need you to do asset management with me. I care about identifying all the assets and knowing what state they're in.
Right.
So, I think coming in and saying, I'm going to do asset management from a security perspective, here's my new shiny tool,
Right.
been viewed very well, because now it's just a fifth tool or a sixth tool. And instead of saying, I'll just use what you're already using, I don't want you to do anything different. Let's tweak the process a little bit and consolidate all that information to one place. And that's what we've done. And that's what we continue to do.
Yeah. And ensure you have the visibility that's needed, right, to ensure everything's secure. That's great.
And
Collaboration
is you have to automate, right? So we are working on ensuring across the board, when new things come online, especially as we move more to the cloud, it has to be real-time discovery of that asset coming in.
Right.
And it has to be elastic, support that elastic cloud type of environment. Can it detect it when it comes up, and can it detect it when it goes down?
Yeah. Another thing that was pretty interesting when we chatted last week was just culture and your focus on educating teams and some of the things that you've been doing. That, can you walk us through how
Sure.
you tackle the issue of education and building security into the culture and in collaboration between the groups?
So I think the way I started may be different than others. So this is just Jeff's version of how to do it. But I started with changing the culture and mindset of the security team first.
Right.
In the sense that we don't own security. It's a business problem. I don't report into IT. None of us do. We report directly to the president of the company. And that gives us the ability to get access to the business leaders, right?
Was that a process there just to to get your team to buy in, or maybe because as a leader, you believe that way, it was easier to get your team to follow suit?
I think, the team takes on the persona of the leader.
Right.
Oftentimes, I mean, there's still, I wouldn't say resistance, just need clarity on some of that.
Yep.
When we're doing work to secure things, and I'm saying that the business owns that, they do. If you find something in the application stack that we need fixed, it's not a knock on the door and say, hey, you got to fix this immediately, stop what you're doing, because that's not a realistic conversation. A lot of these general managers, we have 4 general managers, but business leaders in general have a direction they're taking their application. They have roadmaps, and if I come and just disrupt it, then it makes the conversation difficult. Where our approach is, hey, here's what we found. Here's the risk to your platform, if any. And generally, I get really good support doing it that way.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. You also mentioned some stuff that you're doing with the engineers and the development teams.
Yeah, so we are embedding ourselves in them. So we're doing some training. A couple things we're doing. So one, we have these guilds that we are part of, that we go in, and it's the flavor of the month. It depends on what their schedule says, but we've put out a schedule that focuses on different aspects of both application and infrastructure security. One month we might teach SQL injections. One month we may I have a cyber threat emulation team come in, and they'll teach, hacking 101.
Right.
We also, focus on secure coding platforms. So we do CTFs with them. We ran our first one this year, where the developers come in and they try to actually gain access to a known vulnerable application, so they can see from an attacker's perspective what they're coding. So we're on having another one later on this year.
That's great. So you're making it fun for them to engage with and kind of see the tech behind it almost.
Yeah, because we don't want to be 1-800-no to the developers. If they see me coming, I don't want them to sigh heavy and say, oh, what did I do now?
Right. Yeah.
Right. We want to have them understand that we're in this together. So that's very, very important. And I think too, I have a lot of peers that sit in the seat I'm in, and especially in the Nashville area. I'm very fortunate that I have a supportive C-suite, so I can come to them and give them bad news. And so that's really, really critical. And I don't have to, the vice president of engineering, software engineering, Matt Wilson, he and I meet every week. And the last report I send him, he actually scheduled a meeting with the business owner. So it's not Jeff bringing it, it's a software developer, and that group's bringing it to them. So that takes time, right? You have to develop the
Right.
trust, and but I'm very fortunate in having that situation here at HealthStream.
That's great, Jeff. Any final thoughts just as we wrap up here on everybody's remote now? I mean, I know that
Yeah.
your cloud team's remote. Any tips that you can give as organizations are trying to figure out how to continue this collaboration remotely, since you guys work remotely?
Yeah, I'll give kudos to our MIS team, our corporate team. It has been business as usual for us.
Right.
They deployed a collaboration platform with Teams and video and chat and everything that we need last year, and so it's been very healthy for us.
Right.
I would say that don't get stuck in just the IM of the world. I prefer video, so when we have our team calls, I
Yep.
want everybody on video,
Yep.
and seeing each other's faces.
Yeah.
Outside of the COVID thing, we bring in everybody that is on the team. We bring them in once a quarter to the office so we can collaborate a little bit together.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. As well. Yeah. Looking forward to getting some of that collaboration here in the future as well.
Yeah.
So.
I mean, it's been interesting. My wife asked me a question last week that made me realize, okay, I've got to pause though. I think it was like 6:30 or 7 o'clock at night. She came to my office and said, "Hey, you done working yet?" And I was like, "Oh yeah, I am." So it's real easy
Right.
to and just continue on. So, but I think what you're doing is it's a good break for everybody.
Yeah.
These little video breaks. I appreciate you doing it.
That's great, Jeff. No, I appreciate it. There's one other conference that I would recommend to you too that I just did a video with Mark Miller. Have you heard of All Day DevOps by chance?
Oh yeah, Mike. I don't know if we talked about what I did previously with the Guard and the National Guard.
I did. Yeah, we did.
Yeah, I was on a cyber team, and we went to that last year, and it was great.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
So, yeah,
so we're doing a spring. There's going to be a spring break edition on April 17th. So if you haven't heard of that,
already. Yeah.
Awesome.
I saw that you're going to interview Tanya Janka. So
yeah, I'm very excited about that.
We've engaged with her. She's awesome. She's really helping us move our DevOps along.
Oh, that's great. That's great. I'll make sure to tell her the kudos when I chat with her then.
Absolutely.
All right, Jeff. Well, thanks so much, and I'll stay in touch. Okay.
All right. Stay safe. Thank you.